Ladies and gentlemen, success isn't found in a single moment of brilliance. It is built through small, repeated actions. The world celebrates talent, but it rewards consistency. The most powerful force behind progress is not motivation, luck, or even intelligence. It is consistent action, the discipline to show up every day, even when you don't feel like it, and do the work that moves you forward. Think about the greatest athletes, entrepreneurs, and artists. What sets them apart? It's not that they never fail, it's that they never stop. They act consistently. They push forward through pain, boredom, and fear, not in giant leaps, but in steady steps. Consistency turns dreams into plans, plans into habits, and habits into results. You might not see progress in a day, you might not see change in a week, but give it months, give it years, and the transformation becomes undeniable. That's how a person who once struggled to wake up early becomes a morning warrior. That's how someone who feared failure becomes a confident creator. Not overnight, but through consistent action over time. Consistency builds trust in yourself and in others. It creates momentum. It compounds. Just like interest in a bank account, the small actions you take daily build into something powerful. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be persistent. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Take the imperfect step, again and again. Consistency is not about intensity, it's about identity. It's about deciding who you want to become and proving it every day through your actions. Start small, keep going, stay patient, because consistent action, repeated over time, creates unstoppable results. We often fall into the trap of believing that success demands dramatic, high-energy bursts of effort, that somehow a few intense sessions of grinding will push us to greatness. This mindset is appealing because it promises quick results and makes us feel productive in the moment. But the truth is, intensity without consistency is like sprinting in the wrong direction. It might feel impressive, but it doesn't take you very far. Consistency, on the other hand, is quiet. It doesn't make headlines. It's not always exciting. It's showing up even when you're tired, even when no one is watching, even when results are not immediate. It's doing the reps in the gym when progress seems slow. It's writing every day, even if the words don't flow. It's making that daily cold call, practicing that skill, reviewing your goals. Not just once in a while, but every single day. Think about it. Anyone can go to the gym and work out for 3 hours. But how many people are willing to go for 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, for a year? That's where the true power lies. Those 30-minute sessions may seem small on their own, but they add up. They compound. Over time, they transform not just your results, but your mindset, your habits, and your entire identity. Success isn't built on inspiration. It's built on routine. The daily effort repeated over time forms the real foundation. When you rely solely on intense effort, you become a prisoner of your emotions. You act only when you feel like it. But when you develop consistency, you act regardless of how you feel. You create a system, a rhythm, a structure that supports long-term growth. Consistency is also more sustainable. Intensity burns out. It drains you, both mentally and physically. That's why so many people start strong and then fade out. They push hard for a few days, then collapse under the weight of their own expectations. But consistency teaches patience. It teaches you to trust the process, to focus on showing up rather than showing off. It gives you space to grow without pressure. When you work consistently, you also build resilience. You start to understand that progress doesn't always feel like progress. Some days will feel flat. Some efforts will seem wasted. But the act of returning again and again becomes its own form of strength. Each repetition, each habit, each small step reinforces your commitment, and over time, that commitment becomes unshakable. Consistency is not about perfection, It's about presence. It's about refusing to quit. It's about recognizing that success isn't the result of one heroic act, but thousands of small choices made when no one's looking. It is the silent engine behind every long-term victory. Every action you take is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. This is the powerful truth behind the connection between habits and identity, that you are not defined by what you do occasionally, but by what you do consistently. Over time, your repeated behaviors form patterns, and those patterns shape the very way you see yourself. Let's say you want to become a writer. The moment you sit down and write, even just a few words, you're not just practicing a skill, you're reinforcing a new identity. I am someone who writes. The same applies if you want to become healthy, confident, wealthy, or disciplined. Every time you follow through on a habit related to that identity, you're building that version of yourself from the inside out. Habits are not just about results, they're about who you are becoming. When you consistently act in alignment with your goals, you begin to internalize a new self-image. You stop saying things like, "I'm trying to be disciplined," and start saying, "I am disciplined." That shift in identity is what makes habits stick. You no longer have to force yourself to act. You act because it's who you are. On the flip side, when we allow negative habits to creep in, skipping workouts, procrastinating, breaking promises to ourselves, we chip away at our confidence and self-image. We begin to see ourselves as unreliable or weak, not because we are, but because our actions reinforce that belief. Identity is not fixed, it's fluid. It evolves through the actions we repeat day after day. That's why consistent action is so powerful. It's not just about achieving goals. It's about transforming how you see yourself. When you build habits around discipline, focus, creativity, or health, you're not just changing your behavior. You're becoming the kind of person who lives that truth. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's built through small wins. Every time you wake up early to train, make that tough phone call, resist distraction, or finish what you start, you're proving to yourself that you are who you say you are. And each of those proofs strengthens your belief, your resilience, and your drive to keep going. People often ask, "How do I stay motivated?" The answer lies in this identity, habit loop. Motivation becomes unnecessary when your actions are part of your identity. When your habits define your lifestyle, you act automatically, naturally, consistently, not because you have to, but because it's simply who you are. Momentum is often misunderstood. People believe that it's something that magically appears, like a wave you catch or a burst of energy that arrives on the perfect day. But that's not how real momentum works. Momentum doesn't just show up. It's built. It's created through action, through motion, through movement, no matter how small. You don't wait for momentum, you earn it. At the beginning of any journey, whether it's starting a business, writing a book, getting in shape, or changing your mindset, there's a natural resistance. Everything feels slow, heavy, and uncertain. You question yourself. You don't see results. This is where most people stop. They wait for motivation to kick in. They think they need to feel ready. But that waiting is the trap. The truth is, momentum starts with the first step, even if it's tiny, even if it's messy. It begins the moment you stop planning and start doing. You take action before you feel confident, before you feel smart, before you feel inspired, and with each step forward, something begins to shift. You begin to generate your own momentum. Think of a train sitting still on the tracks. It takes a massive amount of energy to get it moving even a few inches. But once it gains speed, it becomes unstoppable. That's you. Your first actions may feel slow and pointless, But every small task completed, every routine honored, every decision made in alignment with your goals, they all add weight to your movement. They all build momentum. Momentum is self-reinforcing. The more you do, the better you feel. The better you feel, the more you do. Progress fuels motivation, not the other way around. Once you begin moving, the friction of inaction fades away. Discipline turns into rhythm, rhythm becomes habit, and habit becomes momentum. The danger lies in stopping, because once momentum is broken, restarting feels even harder. That's why consistent action is so vital. Even on the hard days, even when the results aren't visible, you have to keep moving, keep showing up, keep doing something even if it's small, especially when it's small. Remember, momentum isn't built through perfection. It's built through progress. The tiniest effort matters, that 1% improvement, that extra page written, that skipped distraction, they all stack, they all count, and soon you're not just working, you're gliding. That's momentum, and it belongs to those who keep going. One of the most disheartening truths on the path to success is this. In the beginning, your efforts may seem to go unnoticed. You will work hard, you will push yourself, and yet, nothing will look different. No applause, no results, no breakthroughs, just silence. And that's exactly where most people quit. Because we are wired to seek quick feedback. We want instant rewards. We want proof that what we're doing is working. And when that proof doesn't come fast enough, we assume our efforts are wasted. But the truth is, progress is often happening beneath the surface, quietly, invisibly. Like seeds in the soil, the real growth is not always visible above ground, at least not right away. When you go to the gym for a week and don't see a change in the mirror, that doesn't mean nothing is happening. When you start waking up early, eating better, or journaling daily, and life doesn't instantly transform, that doesn't mean it's not working. Change takes time, and in the beginning it's internal, invisible, subtle. You are rewiring your brain. You are laying a foundation. You are building mental strength, resilience, discipline. All the unseen elements that prepare you for visible success later. Think of a sculptor working on a block of marble. The first 100 hits of the chisel may look like nothing more than dust falling off a stone. But the final shape, the masterpiece, is formed because of those early strikes that seemed insignificant. Progress doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers, and if you're not paying attention, you'll miss how far you've come because you're so focused on how far you have left to go. This is where consistency becomes your ally. You keep showing up, even when it feels like it's not working. You trust the process, even when the results are silent. You understand that every step forward, no matter how small, is preparing you for a future breakthrough that will come, but only if you don't quit. Progress is rarely linear. It doesn't come in perfect increments. Sometimes the rewards show up all at once, seemingly out of nowhere, after months or years of quiet effort. What looks like an overnight success is really just invisible progress that finally became visible. And only those who stayed the course long enough get to experience that moment. So don't judge your progress by what you can see today. Judge it by what you're building inside, your discipline, your habits, your character. Because that's the kind of progress that doesn't fade. That's the kind of progress that eventually changes everything. There's a common misconception that motivation is the fuel behind success, that it's the key ingredient that drives high performance. And while motivation can give you a spark, it's discipline that keeps the fire alive. Because motivation is a feeling, and like all feelings, it's temporary. It's unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather. But discipline is stable, it's deliberate. It's a choice you make every single day, regardless of how you feel. Motivation is great when it shows up. It makes things easier. It makes hard tasks feel exciting and worthwhile. But what happens when it disappears? What happens when you're tired, uninspired, frustrated, or overwhelmed? That's when the real difference is made, not by your level of motivation, but by your level of discipline. Discipline is waking up when the alarm rings, not because you're thrilled to do so, but because you said you would. It's going to the gym even when your energy is low. It's writing the page, practicing the skill, making the call, especially on the days when you don't want to. Discipline means doing the right thing long after the feeling that inspired it is gone. Discipline builds trust with yourself. Every time you act with discipline, you prove that your decisions are stronger than your emotions, that your goals matter more than your excuses, that your commitment holds power, even when your passion is running low. And that trust you build, that's where confidence comes from. That's where momentum begins. That's how greatness is born. While others wait for the perfect mood, the right timing, or a surge of inspiration, you move, not because you feel like it, but because you're committed, because you understand that emotion can't lead your mission. Only discipline can. It keeps you grounded, it keeps you focused, it keeps you moving forward, one step at a time, no matter what storms are swirling inside or around you. And here's the truth that few people realize: the more you practice discipline, the easier it becomes. What feels like force at first eventually becomes flow. What once required willpower turns into a habit. Over time, discipline creates its own kind of freedom. The freedom to live the life you want, not the life your feelings try to trap you in. So, while the world chases motivation, chasing that temporary burst of energy, you choose something deeper, something stronger. You choose discipline. Confidence is not something you're born with, it's something you build. And one of the most powerful ways to build it is through consistency. Not through talent, not through luck, and not through validation from others. True confidence comes from keeping promises to yourself, from showing up again and again and proving, through action, that you are capable, trustworthy, and resilient. Every time you do what you said you would do, no matter how small, you cast a vote in favor of your own self-belief. You strengthen the voice in your mind that says, "I can do this." And over time, those votes accumulate. They turn into evidence, and that evidence becomes the foundation of unshakable confidence. On the surface, consistency may seem mechanical, like just doing the same thing over and over again. But it's much more than repetition. It's a declaration. It tells the world, and more importantly, it tells you, that you are serious about your goals, that you are not just wishing or hoping or dreaming. You are doing, you are becoming, you are beating the doubt that once held you back. Confidence is often confused with arrogance, but it's not about being loud or showing off. Real confidence is quiet. It's internal. It comes from knowing, not guessing, that you can rely on yourself, that no matter what happens, you will not fold. You will not break. Why? Because you have built yourself brick by brick, habit by habit, through the simple act of showing up consistently. The beauty of this process is that it's self-reinforcing. When you act with consistency, you see progress. And even if it's slow, that progress proves that your efforts matter, that your time has value, that your discipline works. And with each small win, your confidence grows, not because you've arrived at your destination, but because you know you are on your way. It doesn't matter if others can't see it yet. Confidence isn't about proving yourself to them. It's about proving yourself to you. It's about being able to look in the mirror and say, "I show up. I do the work. I follow through." That quiet certainty is far more powerful than any external praise. Even in the face of failure, consistency protects your confidence. Because if you keep showing up, even after setbacks, even after rejections, you begin to realize that failure can't define you. You learn that confidence isn't built on winning. It's built on resilience. And resilience is the reward of relentless consistency. Mastery is not magic. It is not a gift reserved for the lucky or the naturally talented. Mastery is the result of repetition, the intentional, focused, and relentless repetition of small actions over time. If you look behind any great artist, athlete, entrepreneur, or thinker, you will find a long trail of repetition, the same movements, the same words, the same process, again and again, over months, over years, sometimes over a lifetime. We live in a world that idolizes instant success and overnight breakthroughs. But what we often don't see is the practice, the grind, the hours spent repeating the fundamentals while no one was watching. What looks like genius in public is usually the product of disciplined repetition in private. Repetition is the furnace in which excellence is forged. It takes what is clumsy and awkward at first and transforms it into smooth, automatic skill. The first time you try something, whether it's public speaking, lifting weights, coding, painting, or building a business, it feels hard, your brain resists, your body struggles, but with repetition, those same actions become second nature. What was once difficult becomes effortless. That is mastery, not perfection, but ease born from effort. Repetition also deepens understanding. When you repeat something often enough, you don't just do it, you know it. You feel the rhythm. You sense the subtlety. You begin to understand the why, not just the how. That level of insight separates the average from the exceptional. It's the space where real growth lives. But repetition is not glamorous. It's not exciting. It's not viral. It's quiet, patient, and often lonely. That's why most people don't stick with it. They get bored. They crave novelty. They chase distractions. But those who stay the course, who embrace the discipline of repeating the basics, they rise. Because while the world searches for shortcuts, masters are sharpening their craft. It's important to understand that repetition isn't about mindless practice. It's about deliberate practice, doing the same thing again, but doing it better, paying attention to detail, learning from mistakes, staying engaged. Every repetition becomes a step forward, a layer added to your skill, a refinement of your performance. This applies to every area of life. Want to be a great communicator? Repeat conversations with purpose. Want to be physically fit? Repeat workouts consistently. Want to be financially wise? Repeat smart habits daily. Whatever you want to master, you must repeat. And not just until you get it right, but until you can't get it wrong.